shout out, I just jugulated. So,
It
yeah,
sounds fun, and I was also
it
thinking,
is.
Rhett, maybe, for, as we get older, it would be a good thing for our brains and maybe do some, some Alzheimer's prevention. I mean, it just sounds like a healthy thing. Real quick,
Oh,
because we're going to run out of time and I do want to
okay,
get
sure.
back to your time in Asia. Tell our listeners how they can learning how to juggle from you. What websites or where can they find that out?
Yeah, well, so I guess the easiest is just go to my website, the Farber Group. Farber is my last name, thefarbergroup.com. You can also always just email me. I'll give you my personal email because it's easier. Rhett Farber as one word, RhettFarber, Rhett Farber at gmail.com. And I'm actually creating a whole new website, redfarber.com, because we're moving back to the beach, Atlantic Beach, next year, and I'm going to be starting up a juggle club right on the beach. Once again, I've been going to the beach almost daily, every day, and I want to sort of share this with others. But I prefer when I'm actually there and I can just hop on the bike and it's 3 blocks down to the beach. But I will be starting up a whole movement and motion experience for anyone at any age. And I also have my mind to actually, because of COVID, so many of us can't get out there and see some beautiful places of the world. And Debbie, as you know, here in Northeast Florida is one of the most beautiful places in the world. I've traveled all over the world. And so I just want to capture what I do out there on the beach, almost sort of like a surf report where people can see what the weather, what the surf's like. They can just sort of see me daily. So that'll be further down the road.
Yeah, I love
Once
that.
I'm living back here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be sure on our website, wonderaroundtheworld.com. We'll be sure to, I'll put together a blog post and share all of this, all your email and your website
Oh,
with
great.
everyone. So
Oh, thank
but we're going to run out of time really fast. This goes by so fast, and I definitely want
you.
our listeners to hear a little more about your time in Asia. And I know you've been all over. You had your wife and your two beautiful little kids. You raised kids over there in China, and so with whatever time we have left, what jumps to mind? What would you like to share with us about your time
Yeah.
over there?
So if I may, so in the 80s and 90s, so I lived in Taiwan for 18 years and kept that as a base. And I worked many things in the 80s, National Palace Museum. I used to do movies, juggle, entertain. But every 6 months, I had to leave the island for visa reasons. So I was in mainland China in 1982 for 2 months, visiting family that had not seen each other in over 40 years. And I was serving as a bridge between family members who had fled to Taiwan and those that were still on mainland China. I was in India, Nepal in the early 80s. And wherever I'd go, I'd always take my juggling props and clown props and that. So just those kind of memories. And then in the 90s, I used to lead Taiwanese traveling around the world. So I got to see a lot of the world on a company's expense. And like I said, I'm 6'3", and Taiwanese are just starting to travel in the 90s. So that was just phenomenal experiences to help younger generation compared to me at that time. I'm in my 30s, they're in their 20s, but just to help them sort of see the world. And that was fabulous. Then moved back here to Northeast Florida for about 5 years, and then missed that part of the world and convinced my wife that, honey, let's move. I always wanted to live in mainland in Shanghai. And so our daughter had just been born and there was SARS. So when our daughter was 1.5, we moved to Shanghai for 6 months. But actually, those 6 months turned into 10 years. And our son was born there 4 years later. And my wife thrived studying Chinese medicine and getting involved in our kids' school, started up the Parents Association, and living in Shanghai at that time, 2005, 2014, was just a booming time. So it was just fascinating to see part of the world that was booming, and people from all over the world were living there. So having that international connection, at a city of 25, 26 million people was just fascinating. And you come back here and people thought I was fast paced here. And I'm thinking like, oh, people have no idea how slow paced it is to, a major city. But we've moved back. It's been about 5 years now. And, before COVID, I was blessed to still do some consultant and even some training in that part of the world. But things have stopped now, but a matter of time. But I'm blessed that I've got to see a lot of the world, and I'm in I just turned 62, so it's nice, being part of our kids. We're homeschooling our son, who's 13, 8th grade now, here at home, because it's hard to keep middle school kids, that distance. And our daughter's in 12th grade. She's on a hybrid program she's at Douglas Anderson Performance Arts School. But yeah, I guess if everyone, I would recommend more than anything else that if you ever have an opportunity, in fact, I tell the younger generation all the time, get out there and see a little part of the world, because when you come back, it gives you so much of a different perspective about where you're coming from, and you can open up and learn more about where you're coming from, wherever that country may be. For us, it's the U.S., as well as just meeting people from other places of the world or wherever you go, even if it's a short period of time. And then, of course, if you're able to pick up the language, it just opens up so many more doors.
This is a dumb question, but now this nothing to do with COVID, because travel is so restricted now anyway. But if things were normal and we can all start traveling again, can you just go and travel to a place like China? I mean, what can you just do that? I mean, what do you have to? What are the steps to even?
Yeah, well, for mainland, and once again, I'm still old school, so I refer to China as mainland China. You still need to get a visa. You need to apply for a visa. For Taiwan, you can get a landing visa. I think it's 60 days. Taiwan, Thailand, Philippines, many of these places. I'm sorry, maybe 90 days. It used to be 90 days. Now things may have been changing the way just U.S. policy has been with other countries per se over these last number of years. So it's always good to check, go on to, just checking about if you're going to a place once you're able to travel again, if that country needs a visa for a U.S. passport holder. But, it used to be so many countries of the world did not require visas for U.S. passport holders that you could get a visa when you landed, when you actually were going through immigration. You would automatically get a 90-day or 60-day stamp in that, which meant you could stay in that country for that period of time before you had to leave again.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get that 2-minute warning really quick. So what is like one thing that if someone travels there, what should they do? What's a must see site or a food to eat? Just something that a must do thing. Your recommendation. We're going to wrap up real soon here.
I'd say be open to anything and everything, because think of all these great memories and experiences that you'll have to look back on. Always tap into what locals may share with you, because locals know better than that tourist book that you may be opening up and reading about. But every place has, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, some of the most magnificent fruits that I had ever had in my life that I didn't even know about, growing up here. And then you get to Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, and you just have some of the most amazing fruit and foods for that matter. And China, just food, when it comes to food, when it comes to drink, yes, just be open.
Okay.
Be flexible.
Well, that's a good message, and you certainly have inspired me to maybe start doing at least some armchair travel planning and get myself over there. I've never been to Asia. I've been to Europe a few times, but I've never been there, and it sounds wonderful and very adventurous, and for many of us sounds so exotic, right? So thank you for opening our minds into that possibility and sharing your life experience with us and your time today, Rhett. It's been a pleasure having you.
Oh, thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for asking me. My pleasure.
And everyone out there, this is Deborah DePietro, and I want to thank you for joining my new show here, Wonder Around the World. If you have any feedback for me, I welcome it. It's a new show and would love your comments. You can email me at wonderaroundtheworld@outlook.com. I also have a new website, wonderaroundtheworld.com, and I'm in the process. Soon we're going to have a new Facebook page, Wonder Around the World too, and you can learn more about how you can be a future guest with me like Rhett Farber here. So Rhett, again, thank you for joining me, and everyone out there, let's keep the wonder alive. let's keep the love alive and respect and love what we have in our own backyards, as well as all of the wonderful other backyards in the nations around the world. Thank you all for joining me today.
Great. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Rhett.
Sure. Bye.